Good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are joining us. It is brunch time with Mayegun, and as it is breakfast in America, it is lunch time here in the UK and also in Nigeria and so many other places in this part of the hemisphere. So thank you so much for joining me. Now, as we normally do, right? Read beyond the caption of the broadcast, then share it. That is after you must have liked it, right? Then you can sit back and relax. Also, remember the brunch time with Mayegun on this chosen topic, right? It's like going to be like series, right? Where we would continue to knock it into the head, right, of this stubborn, divisive, evil, a group of people who have been leveraging on the differences, our differences, to weaponize our differences, right? In such never seen before states, right? So we need to keep shining light on it. Because somehow, in case if you don't know, there is always this tiny bits of this bigotry. It doesn't matter where you come from in Nigeria, by the way. There's this tiny bit of bigotry that's indeed implanted in many of us. But some will tell you that education, exposure actually helped them to undo such, kind of like, hateful thoughts towards other people because they are different. You are different. So then the supremacy comes in. Currently in Nigeria, in a place where you have over 500, tribes with over 500 languages as well, right? We're supposed to be coexisting peacefully, and that should come from, like an understanding, like respect for one another. That is the only reason why you can live together. But Nigeria is a place where you see communal clashes, for example, right? Happens all the time between people, right, that have been coexisting for centuries, historically, right? And these differences, right, that's the highest, right, where people actually like had to clash over land and all of that stuff in that place. Others, they are just innuendos, lies built by different tribes and ethnic nationalities in that place, right? From one generation to another generation. And this exists within the space called Nigeria. We can begin to pick one after the other and say, the Ishekiri versus the Ijos, Yorubos versus, the Anans, this versus that. And recently, the recent one where they have actually like a weaponized is that of the Yoruba, Igbos, Hausas, and Fulanis, and on like that. So you get to see areas where these happenings, these divisive, violent happenings, right? Where they are happening, they are mostly politically sponsored. But politics of now didn't actually give birth to them, okay? So it's always been there, but somehow suppressed. So education and exposure, some have said, helped them to understand to understand the differences, to understand the complexity of it, and at the same time to learn, right, to protect what is yours, which is kind of like not a bad idea, right? But like I said, it's always been there. It's always been there. And every now and then, criminal politicians in Nigeria always appeal to this bigotry in every tribe and ethnic nationality in that place. But like I said again, it is not so pronounced until now, especially when Tinubu and his gang, who have been playing their dirty, divisive, bad blood kind of like a politics, for a while. It is actually what sustained them this much. It's just that it has never really been promoted to the national level, like you are currently witnessing, where a group of miscreants, online trolls, both home and in the diaspora, have been pushing some deadly, hateful, divisive rhetorics. Now, this is not just about against other tribes or other ethnic nationality now. And this is where I kind of want your attention clearly, okay? We call these guys the Ronukus, those ones who pretend to be pro-Yoruba, but they are complete anti-Yoruba elements. They won't agree, of course, they won't. So they are pro-Tifnumbu, and over time, they have sort of like promoted Tifnumbu to the level of putting him side by side, side by side the whole race, in which, to them, right, following Tifnumbu and his criminal politics is actually a loyalty to Yoruba land, when it is not. Now, because they have positioned Tifnumbu in that light, so they have continued to either blackmail or gaslight any Yoruba and every Yoruba that speaks against this Tifnumbu. And to those of you who are not Yorubas, okay, this is how you are going to understand, the background of this whole thing, so that the bigotry in you, which of course exists, and somehow the actions of these mofos sort of triggered the bigotry in some of you, and therefore you decided to paint the entire Yoruba people with one single brush. And don't forget, like, I am talking about those of you who are non-Yorubas, whatever it is that you probably are reacting to, right, in your own bigotry, because it is there, right? You can easily just blame it on the Ronukus, but do not forget that, number one, they do not represent the Yorubas or represent the Yoruba interest. Their actions, their outburst, their hypocrisies will tell you all, will give you all of that answer. But that is not the stage where we are at right now, because the damages they have done is even so massive. So put it this way: if you are a non-Yoruba, you are likely going to go back to the days where we used to banter, say things about ourselves, most of them even during our childhood and all of that growing up, that we never really counted for anything on all sides, right? Until now. Because when you look at the Ronukus and their actions, to make you see clearly that they have nothing to do with the Yorubas per se, it is all about this Tifnumbu and this hateful, divisive, backward kind of politics. So to show to you that their level of inferiority, which is what they are promoting, because that's what I see. When you are trying to prove to people and say, oh, you are this, right? It's like when they say, oh, I am very rich. Said rich people will say they are rich. People will say that. They will say, no, if you see people who are actually rich, they won't tell you that they are rich. You will know that, they are rich. However, when you see the Ronukus, right, going after every Yorubas, which are in the majority, by the way. Now, when they go after the Yorubas who are outspoken, they have nothing to do with Tifnumbu and this backward, corrupt way or criminal politics and all that, right? They call them Omwali. You understand? Like in Yoruba land, okay, when anyone, because you don't call anybody Omwali, like bastard, right? So in Yoruba land, when you call somebody a bastard, they will go home. I mean, back in the days, because you don't just call anybody bastard. And they will go back home and call their mom and ask, you need to show me who my father is, because so person said I am a bastard. So it's actually a serious stuff. Now, it would make sense, all right, if the characters that are calling you bastards actually have parents themselves. Starting with Tifnumbu, who is their black sheep, what have you, right? Nobody knows his father. Nobody knows his mom. He denied them. He disowned them and continued to push his adopted mom. So then you see these characters, right? In that same vein, okay? So they started picking from within the Yorubas, right? They started picking people who have dual parentage, meaning like, sorry, dual, like, background parenting, kind of like that. So yeah, you have your mom who is Yoruba. You have your dad who is Igbo, for example. So to these miscreants, these faceless trolls, right? You are not a Yoruba. Yeah, because of your mom. There's nothing like half. That's not all. If your dad is Yoruba and your mom is Igbo, because in Yoruba land it is culturally or traditionally believed or accepted that the father is actually the owner of a child. You get what I mean? Like the father owns the child. So the child will kind of like claim his or our paternal side more, right? For his or our own identity. So Yorubas welcome that. Do you understand? So they had to go into, apart from destroying our people's economic viability, the equitable distribution or redistribution of the wealth of the land, the prosperity of the land. No. Under them in the last 24 years, I mean, now 26, nearly 26 years, under them, right? Yoruba land has retrogressed so much, enough that we now share a massive chunk in their, what do you call it, the poverty charts in that place. Education has become a luxury. In Yoruba land, courtesy of these guys, our people have become easy prey in the hands of the Fulani terrorists, kidnapping them, collecting ransoms, and even killing them in Yoruba land. In the last 24 years, this is the legacy of those, right, who are kind of like in charge of the land, unfortunately. So when you now see the Ronokus who decided that this time around, they will go into the family, what is it called, the family cycle, right? And decide to break that. That will be the last stroke that will break the camel's back, because it is also a record. I am using this part as a Yoruba person now, right? And like I said, that in every tribe, except if you are one of those who are living in denial, because you see, in every tribe, they will tell you, what does the other tribe think of you? Even though they are like neighbors, they share the same boundary, or they're like not far away from, from themselves. Even if they actually share the same tribal heritage as well, they will still tell you, you will tell me what it is like when your parents says you can't marry from that place, or you cannot befriend these people from this place. You cannot have these also people as your tenants, or you cannot sell to this kind of, like all those, primitive nonsense. They actually exist. I mean, well established in that place, but mostly like in Oshtos and all of that. So I'm speaking as a Yoruba man now. And the damage is done by these Ronokus, right? In the name of trying to protect the druggie. That is a Tiknumbu. All right. So we have people who have intermarried. Okay. Before this, their politics of criminality came in, and politics of division and all that became a thing. And then they are pushing all the narrative like you are a tainted blood or not, right? So we have had people who have successfully married or started a family, married themselves, started a family, and they are of different ethnic or tribal, even religious backgrounds. But because the APC, Egbekebe, they are master in the art of propaganda, misleading, misinformation and stuff like that, and weaponization of this same tribalism, or what do you call it? Yeah, ethnicism and what have you. They are professionals. They are like experts. So they've succeeded in making those of you who are like, who wants to prove that you are a true Igbo, or you are true Yoruba, or you are true this, or true that. I'm talking about like I'm the real Yoruba. I can't stand by and allow anybody to insult my tribe. That's exactly where they want you to be. They're putting you where they want you to be. And most of you have fallen for that because, of course, you've heard is on both sides. Now I'm using the Yorubas and the Igbos now, right? It's from both sides, right? So when you listen to the Yoruba bigots talking about the Igbos and saying horrible, horrible, horrible things, right? So as an Igbo person who sit there and listening, right there, something will start telling you that, man, I don't know why these Yorubas. Now, forgetting that you're actually just witnessing a miscreant creating what most of them are paid to do, divisive rhetorics, right? And then right there, as an Igbo person, you're just like, I have to say something bad about them too. And then you jump into the fray. Oh, you, the Yorubas that are this, Yorubas that are that, Yoruba, started. And that means, the provocation is working. Now, while you are pushing yours out, another Yoruba person who is now reading yours, right, will automatically become probably like enraged too and start feeling like, I need to say something about these Igbos. Or maybe another tribe or ethnic nationality by name popped into the conversation and just drops and said, I want to say something. I need to go and say something about these Ijaw people, these ones who are like, so, and you see that market they have created, right, is what you call weaponization of, tribal, ethnic differences. You can be like subconsciously dragged into it, in which many of you have. I've had people on this platform who have called in, said, oh, people said so and so about us. I know. Because all of us are consuming all these, junks out there. And in that space where the toxicity is being pushed, right? You have created vast sort of like an empire for it. Like I said from the beginning, right? We all have this bigotry in us. But many people will tell you that exposure, traveling, education, and so many other things has helped them to overcome the level of bigotry that they themselves were fed over time, right? But we do have so many of you who have never even have any personal encounter with any other tribe that you have been made to despise so much. So on social media, right, you have this set who are calling out on, if they are not calling out on the Igbos must go, I've seen that in northern part of Nigeria too, where we have seen these, Hausas themselves telling their own stories, the stories of how they can no longer live with the Igbos. They can't sell their property, their lands to them anymore and all of that stuff. So the only place similarly in Igbo land too, you've had there where some unscrupulous elements who have given a ultimatum to the other tribes, so say, you have to leave or else you will see what will happen. Now, this is the reality of Nigeria. Now, talking about the level at which the damages the bigotry is currently doing to Nigeria and our people, I may not be able to give you the exact sort of like percentage, like figure, or the deepness, especially offline. Okay, but the level of the toxicity online, right, so concerning enough that myself as a Yoruba person feels like, you see, if you are throwing banters, saying things, shit about yourselves and all of that, as annoying as they can be, right? But when you begin to actually call people tainted blood, well, that's extreme. Do you understand? Like you are creating this, which is the reason why others are now sort of responding to, making it more like a competition. Okay, so when you look at people and say, I have children, right, who are, partly Scottish and partly Yoruba. Do you understand?